quick diversion here. I was out, this is a year ago, I'm watching all of you practice, and normally, you'll know this, normally golf coaches, when they're giving instructions, will come and kind of whisper in your ear. Well, Coach Bierman has forgotten that he's not coaching basketball anymore. He's coaching golf. What are you doing with that? I'm like, we've got Tiger Woods' father here. So apparently it works. So if you want to improve your game, talk to Dustin, who'll yell at you, and you'll do a lot better. It's great to have you here, and it's a privilege to be able to introduce first our board chair, and after our board chair, closing remarks from Deb Barton. Joe Clappity, everyone. Welcome.
When Jeff told me a while back that we were going to have this dedication today, he said, could you make a few remarks? And you always have the option of trying to write something out, and kind of formalize it, or just kind of speak from your heart. And I said, we just need to talk just from your heart today. When you think of Jim, we had a Board of Trustees meeting today, and there's all the philosophical things and issues that come up. But in the back of my mind, I asked myself, if I were to close my eyes and say, what alum and friend do I know that best represented the University of Dubuque, Jim Martin's name comes right to the top. Jim came to the University of Dubuque in the fall of 1963, and I believe, and I could use some help here, he was one of Owen Evans' first recruits, because I think that was Owen's first year on campus, was that year. Jim was a three-star, three-sport athlete at Dubuque, playing football, basketball, and baseball, and he still holds the record today for the most interceptions in a career of 26. I mean, I don't, yeah, think about that, 26. I think that's one of those, like Pete Rose's 4,000 some hits. I don't think in most of the lifetimes in here that'll ever be broken. Jim, was the type of person you could talk to. And when I was a freshman here in 1964, and you come up here, you're a little intimidated. But Jim was someone you could go up to and talk to and not feel as though that he was going to pull you aside and tell you he was going to knock your head off the next day at practice or something like that. Jim graduated in 1967 and went on to coach football at the University of Wisconsin for several years, and I believe at that time it was under John Jardine, who had come out of Fenwick High School in Chicago. Jim then went on to go to law school and had a successful career in law and became a judge. Now I get circuit court judge for how many years?
6.5.
How many?
6.5.
Yeah. He epitomized what is good and right about this country. And we live in this era of discord, and we live in this era of angst and anger and fighting with one another. But Jim just represented what you would hope humanity would be in this country. Jim was a board member, Jeff, probably for 10, 12 years, I'm guessing, somewhere in that area. Yeah, and maybe more. We lose track. Jim was very attuned to the academics and the athletics of the school, but Jim never forgot the importance of the mission of the university, serving and not catering, but embracing first generation and underserved cultures. He never let go of that, and he would always remind me after a meeting about certain things that needed to be addressed or looked at or rectified. Now, so here we are today, recognizing this wonderful gentleman. And what's even gratifying, or equally gratifying, there are more people in this room that graduated in the 1960s than any other group. Raise your hands, 1960s people. Look at this, huh? Yes. All graduated from 61 through 69, and I believe to a large degree reflecting knowing that we were going to honor Jim and his legacy today. Thank you for coming. It's poignant, it is. It's a day of celebration, but a day of melancholy. as we think about the wonderful things that Jim did and represented. But it's also a day of celebration. So with that, make sure we all get over to the simulator after this and enjoy the rest of the weekend on campus. Deb?
Bear with me, I need glasses. So I want to thank everyone for taking the time to be with us here today. I'm not an articulate young Amanda Gorman, but I am going to try to give my remarks, and I hope you'll all bear with me and hang in there with me. One thing I do know is that there is a bald-headed guy looking down on us right now, and he is thinking, what the heck is all this stuff? I was not that important. But I know that that same guy would be very proud and humbled to be given this honor from the university that he truly loved. A big thank you to President Bullock, Chair of the Board, Joe Clapety, the entire Board of Trustees, UD faculty and staff, especially Vice President of Advancement, Melissa Hemaseth, who is not here with us today, unfortunately. She's in the hotel with flu. And then Dustin Bierman, the men's and women's golf coach. My family, my dear friends, all who believed in and respected Jim, and whose lives he may have touched in some small way over his 74 years. I will be eternally grateful for all those who made this day happen. It was, as President Bullock said, a little over a year ago when we dedicated this beautiful building. It was that day that President Bullock stopped me and told me that he and the Board of Trustees had decided to name this space the Multicultural Student Center after Jim. Of course, that brought on the huge waterworks for me right out there under the big white food tent. Over the next months, when we were all overtaken by our COVID lockdown, I kept in touch with Melissa just to keep up with plans as they progressed. During that time, she asked me two questions. First was, did I know of any artists who might create a piece for the center? At first, I completely drew a blank, and then the light bulb went on. Jerry Butler. In addition to Jerry's lifelong career and talent as an artist and an educator, he was one of Jim's original golf buddies back in Madison, dating back into the 1970s. I put Melissa in touch with him, and he was on board immediately, resulting in this beautiful triptych that you see here today. When Jerry and I and several other people hung these pieces earlier this summer, Jerry explained to me a little bit more about the meaning behind the images that he created. All show important phases and times in Jim's adult life. As a student, an athlete at UD, I guess that's his mean face. His passion for golf, which many of you know about, completing his bucket list of playing 18 holes in all 50 states in 2014. The 5 golf flags that you see represent 10 states each. His son David, in the middle panel, who my stepson, who lives in Madison with me, is here today. Our wedding day, where we both looked a lot younger with more hair and different colored hair. Can't imagine how that happens. That was in June of 1989 in our Supreme Court chambers in our state capitol in Madison. His time then in the third panel working as a WIAA and an NCAA basketball official for almost 30 years. And then the crowning glory of his long legal career, becoming a circuit court judge, retiring in 2009 after 6.5 years on the bench in the criminal rotation. You'll notice the UD colors kind of flow throughout, and the large U and D, which connect all three panels, showing how his time at this institution touched and influenced so many parts of his life. He was truly proud to be a Spartan. Thank you, Jerry, for bringing so much of what Jim was about into these pieces for all to appreciate for years to come. His legacy here now will truly live on. The second question Melissa had for me was, did Jim have any quotes or sayings that he used a lot? Once more, I drew a blank, until a few months later, I was looking through a box, and I found this. This is my prop for the day. It's kind of a paperweight type acrylic block, and I know he had it on his desk throughout his working career. It's kind of a traveling trophy, I guess. But it reads, "What would you attempt to do if you knew you could never fail?" What would you attempt to do if you knew you could never fail? Only 13 words, but I think they had big meaning for Jim. From growing up in a humble household in Racine, Wisconsin, with 5 siblings, to graduating from Park High School, coming to UD and getting his degree, then teaching and coaching at Racine Case High School, moving on, as Joe said, to the University of Wisconsin to coach football, and then entering law school there and getting his law degree, and then having a successful legal career. And finally, culminating in a great retirement, which was cut way too short, as we both know, but that he enjoyed to the fullest. Throughout all of that, he always kept striving to do more and to do it better. Which brings us here today and having this wonderful honor bestowed on a guy who was pretty remarkable with a pretty common name, who always gave more than he received, faced life as it came to him, and always was quietly proud of his accomplishments along the way. On the day we lost Jim, at the end of June in 2019, he was at the UW Rehab Hospital, ready to face his illness head on. We had lunch together and we watched some golf on TV. Later in the afternoon, he needed some help, so I said, "Well, I'll go get the nurses." He looked at me and he said, "No, I can do it myself." So I reminded him that, "No, dear, you can't do it yourself." He shot back with a determined look in his eye, and I remember his last words to me that day were, "Just watch me." So the next time you feel life is not treating you kindly, or maybe things are tough, not going your way, or you have a difficult decision to make, channel this little piece of Jim Martin from the back of your mind. What would you attempt to do if you knew you could never fail? Just watch me. Thank you.
Deb, thank you. Thank you. I used to do speech, and I would give that an A. I would give that an A. And he's very modest. Jerry was way in the back, so Jerry Butler is here, and I want to invite, whenever he wants to come in.
Can he just move in so people can see him?
There he is.
This is Jerry Butler.
So in case you missed it, Jerry is the artist of this wonderful piece here, and thank you again for sharing your gifts and your talents with us on behalf of Jim.
My honor.
Yeah, well, it'll be here forever, so that's a wonderful thing. So we invite you to just enjoy your time here, and then as there's also an open house at the I don't know. Why don't you mention something about the paperweights? Because I don't.
As much as oh, there.
They're here, and then at the, I said you'll see them to the right. Oh, you do? And it's with Jim's.
Oh, wonderful. So,
It has the same.
so the paperweights are available. So I learned something today, so thank you. And again, just a wonderful afternoon and a wonderful moment. Let's enjoy our time here. Let's enjoy our time at the Golf Center and just enjoy being together. So thank you, everybody.
All right.